thank you very much for joining us today, Philip. I'm going to hand over to you, and you can begin your part of the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew, for A, having me, but B, the kind introduction and the overview as to what exactly the Union County Helping Hands program actually is. Bear with me a second. Let me get my PowerPoint up so that those that are participating are able to get a better understanding. So Operation Helping Hand is actually part of a statewide initiative out of the Office of the Attorney General. It is run on the local levels in partnership with the Union County Prosecutor's Office and the agency Prevention Links. My team oversees all of the day-to-day logistics of working with those in need of the services. So the OHH model is, it started out as actually as an opportunity for law enforcement actually to help those people that are struggling with either alcohol use or substance use disorder, because the realization was that the law enforcement were really the primary people encountering people, because of like reckless driving or DWI or something like that. And it's at that point of contact that the officers say to the individual, do you want help with your addiction issues? Now, I do want to clarify that while there is that law enforcement component, it is only a portion of the program. Any resident of the county 18 and over can call the hotline at any time and get connected with the peers and get the supportive services. And I'll go into that a little bit more. The law enforcement and legal aspect is not a requirement, but it was kind of the starting point of the program. So the Operation Helping Hand uses a peer recovery support model, and what that means is the staff that answer the phone are people in long-term recovery themselves. They've gone through a formal training and internship of about 500 hours. So depending on the individual's availability, that's anywhere between like 3 and 6 months of working under supervision, to earn this certified peer recovery specialist status that is recognized across the state. So the participants, the individuals, are provided with guidance and support. We can also get them connected to treatment, whether that be detox or inpatient programs or even long-term programs, because most programs are usually about 28 days or so. There are some people that do need a little bit longer, and those resources are available. We can get them connected accordingly. But the Union County Helping Hands is not just the brokerage of, okay, we've got this resident who needs detox. We don't just do that. We stay with the resident for about 6 months, working with them, addressing whatever issues they're facing in early recovery. So the goal of the program is really to reduce overdose deaths in Union County. A second goal is to reduce the relapse rate, because relapse is a very common situation for those in early recovery. People can start on the road to recovery, and they can get a couple of weeks, maybe a couple of months, and then something happens and they return to use because they are stressed, they have whatever anxiety issues are going on. And in the 3 years that the hotline has been in existence, we've seen the slow but steady decline in relapse. We've also seen a very nice decline in overdose deaths. Yeah, and ultimately, there's the goal of increasing the well-being and quality of life for the residents, of the county, because we know that by working with an individual and building up their overall well-being and their individual quality of life, it does have a ripple effect, because it's not just that person now, it's that person and their family and then their neighbors, and really working. I always tease my team, we're working to make the world a better place, one person at a time. So moving right along. So I want to clarify that substance use disorder is a chronic disease. It is a disease. It is recognized by the American Medical Association and the American Psychological Association as a disease. It causes compulsive drug seeking and use despite the harmful consequences. Those struggling with substance use disorder may have the wherewithal to say, I don't want to do this. I don't want to get high. I don't want to spend my entire paycheck, getting high, but they just can't stop it. So now that we've clarified that, moving right along. So the federal agency, which is the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Association, SAMHSA, defines recovery as a process where an individual, improves their health and well-being and their wellness, and start to live a self-directed life. What do I mean by self-directed life? It means the individual is in control of their life. It's not a court order or a doctor or a family member saying, you need to do this, you need to do that. So the wheel on the slide right there shows kind of the guiding principles, person-driven. There are many pathways to recovery. Perhaps some people either on the call right now or listening to the recording are familiar with Alcoholics Anonymous or Narcotics Anonymous. Those are just one pathway to recovery. There are many other pathways. Prevention Links also operates the Union County Peer Recovery Center, which is a separate program that I oversee. But in that program, we offer a variety of mutual aid meetings. Recovery Dharma, SMART Recovery, which is an acronym standing for Self-Management and Recovery Training. There's a harm reduction model of recovery, wherein the peer will work with the participant to set some guidelines as to, if they're going to use, where they're going to use, how often they're going to use, that really just reiterates the many pathways approach to recovery. So the peer recovery specialist, like I said earlier, it's a person with lived experience. This coming April, I will be clean and sober for 5 years. It has not been an easy road. It is actually the road that brought me to New Jersey. I grew up in New York and only moved to New Jersey after going into an inpatient program. And one of the benefits of recovery is that my family, who were about ready to write me off, actually let me and my dog move in with them so that I could get my life back on track. So that's kind of why I do the work that I do, is so that we can get people reconnected with their families. We can get them reconnected to the greater community. So peer recovery specialists, help advocate for the people in recovery. We identify resources and we let them know through a variety of mediums, including like this webinar, whether you're listening to us live right now or on the recording. I'm sharing and identifying the resources. That's exactly what we're doing right now. We're letting the community know about the resource of the Helping Hands Hotline. We help the participants identify their own strengths. I was working with a participant who graduated high school and was enrolled at Union County College a number of years ago during her active addiction, and she never attended class, barely completed her assignments, and wound up failing out of Union County College. And after doing some work and really introducing her to her pathway to recovery, she is now back at Union County College and maintaining a 3.9 GPA every semester now. But the fact that she was at the college previously and had those couple of bad semesters is, so that's part of what my team does, is we work with her so that she continues to put in the good work, here and now in 2021. So that's just some of what we do. The lived experience of peers breaks down the barrier of judgment. I, back in August, was actually doing some outreach in the city of Elizabeth, and I had a couple of people come up to me at the table, and they're like, "Well, who are you, and what are you doing here?" And I said, I'm with Prevention Links. We're here letting the community know about the resources for anybody struggling with alcohol or substance use issues. And the woman kind of looked at me and was like, "Well, what do you know about it?" And I said to her, well, honestly, at that point, I had 4 years, of recovery under my belt, but I struggled with substances for about 7 years. And as soon as I shared with her that I myself struggled with substances for 7 years, her body language changed. She became a lot more willing to engage me in conversation and start to address her issues. And she then went on to tell me, she's like, a therapist or doctor, they keep saying, "You got to stop doing it, you got to stop doing it." She's like, but they don't get it. She said, but just having a conversation with me really kind of helped her start to find her own pathway to recovery. I actually just had a phone call with her late last week. She's doing well, and she's finding her pathway right now. So there are a lot of benefits to recovery coaching. I joke with my team and some of my friends. I'm like, I think the world would just be a whole better place if everybody had some sort of program. And you guys see on the slide right here, we can start right at the beginning. Recovery coaching empowers the clients in order to move them from recovery to discovery. I love that phrase, because once you get into recovery, that's where your life really starts to expand, and you really find out who you are, and you get comfortable in your own skin. Recovery coaches, we realize it's 2021. We have some participants that we're working with right now that hate to talk on the telephone, but we will reach out to them via text message. We will communicate with them via email, because, but then we have another participant who is a little bit older and not very tech savvy, and so with her, we've made ourselves available for her to come to our office. Our office is in Roselle, right on Chestnut Street, between 1st and 2nd Avenue. But we've made ourselves available to her so that she can get the support that she needs. We have a very non-biased approach to recovery and substance use. It's plain and simple. We know what it's like. We've been there. So there's really no judgment on that. The coaches, I love this phrase right here on the fourth one, bridging the gap between the client and the family. Like I shared with you all, my family let me move in with them after really not speaking to me for months on end, because they were just fed up with the lies and the nonsense. And they also, these are people that have known me my whole life, and they saw me really rapidly deteriorating, and they were scared. But with some good support, we were able to, not only restore but improve the relationship between my aunt and uncle and myself. Recovery coaches, really help draw attention to, awareness of life's purpose, that there is more to life than just recovery. But for those in early recovery, the battle with addiction has been so life consuming that people in early recovery might not realize what they want to do and how they want to get what they want to do and how they want to live their life. So we bring awareness to that life purpose. Every person on the planet is here for a purpose, and we help those in recovery find their purpose. The coaches, like I shared earlier, they will help or eliminate relapse. These are all the things that we do, again, to bring it right back to improving the world one person at a time. So I apologize. I actually was supposed to have one of my peer specialists on the call with me, but one of her participants actually reached out to her, and she's otherwise occupied right now. So we're just going to keep moving right along. So Prevention Links has been in Union County for about 50 years, actually. But the hotline is not the only program that we offer. You see a number of programs, and these are all just within the recovery support division. The support team for addiction recovery, that's actually a federal and state funded grant to address the opioid crisis that is continuing to plague this country. So anybody that has a history of opiate use, would be able to receive the services of the STAR team. The Pathways to Success program is actually a really fantastic program that is funded through through the New Jersey Department of Labor, that helps people that are either directly impacted or indirectly affected by substance use disorder become workforce ready. We actually have a group of interns right now that are finishing up with us, that they are our Pathways interns. We're helping them, develop their resume, gain some, work experience, and help them find the right kind of industry and jobs that they want to pursue. The Prevention Connections program is a peer case management program offered by Union County. Peer case management is a little bit more intense than just the peer support. The case manager meets with the participants for 2 hours a week, usually an hour-long session twice a week. So they'll meet like Monday, Wednesday, or Tuesday, Thursday, and they'll work on what are called self-defined recovery goals. So the individual will say to the case manager, you know what, I want to figure out how to get back, and I want to figure out how to get my GED, and they'll work towards that. And then after they achieve that goal, okay, I want to apply to a couple of colleges, and the case manager will work with that person and help them make sure that they have everything that they need, to apply to college. And it doesn't even necessarily need to be an educational goal. One of the Connections participants actually, prior to COVID, was actually even struggling with just a general socialization. And then COVID struck and everybody went into lockdown, and this participant was really struggling. But I'm happy to share with everybody now that that participant actually got a job at, I believe, the local ShopRite. It's part-time. She doesn't need a full-time job, but she's out there. She's interacting with people. Her great line, she's a productive member of society, and she smiles ear to ear every single time that I happen to see her. The family support programming, we realized that addiction is not necessarily just an individual disease. It does affect the family. So for families in Union, Middlesex, and Monmouth counties, we are able to provide support for those loved ones. So I'll use myself as the example. I'm the person with the addiction issue. So the family support programming is available to my aunt and uncle. It's, the family support programming is available to the loved ones, whether they be spouses, sometimes children. And by that I do mean adult children. So, but it could also be extended family members, as long as there's some direct relation to somebody struggling with substance use disorder. The Rise Up Recovery Center is actually what I mentioned earlier, the Union County Peer Recovery Center. And they have a variety of mutual aid meetings. They do educational workshops twice a month. They do recreational activities twice a month. I know in November, I believe, there was a yoga experience as well as a hike. Actually, the Senior Peer Services Coordinator who runs the Recovery Center is a bit of a nature enthusiast, and as long as the weather is good, he has taken the participants out on a variety of hikes all across the state of New Jersey. The Northeastern United Drug Affected Youth Program is one of two programs that we have for minors that are struggling with substances. The Recovery High School was actually named after Senator Raymond Lesniak. It was actually the first recovery high school in the state of New Jersey. It is done in partnership with Union County Vocational High School. So Union County VOTEC provides the academic curriculum for the students, and Prevention Links provides the recovery support for those young people so that they, start to address their addiction issues before it escalates into something bigger and deeper. So why we do this work, I think everybody on this call, has already kind of gotten the gist of why we do this work just from my sharing with all of you. But the official, answer is, people facing substance use challenges are dying because they're afraid to, or not willing, or don't know how to access the help. And that's part of the reason for this webinar right now, is so that all of you in the greater Plainfield area are aware the help is here. The help is here. Also just reducing the stigma around substance use disorder, because when you address the stigma of it, people realize that it's not, that it's more than just, I can't stop drinking. It really is an issue that is a little bit beyond the control of the individual. But we also want to increase the access to treatment and the community resources, so that, again, we come right back to making the world a better place, one person at a time. So I know that these numbers are a little out of date because they go back to 2018. So for 2018, there were 138 deaths in Union County related to drugs. Over 780 naloxone deployments. I'll clarify that right now. Naloxone is a overdose drug that EMTs, paramedics, even the average citizen can be trained to spot an overdose. And if the naloxone is administered in a timely manner, it can actually reverse the overdose and save a life. Actually, that outreach event that I mentioned earlier in the call back in August, we were actually distributing Narcan, naloxone to some people that were engaging us, and about a block away, somebody had collapsed and was in the middle of an overdose. And the intern that was with me at the time came running over to me and was like, Phil, somebody's overdosing over there. And I looked at her, and I was actually speaking with a participant. I grabbed one of the Narcans and I handed it to the intern, and I said, go and take your phone with you and call for 911. And the naloxone was administered. That overdose was reversed. EMTs did show up, and that life was saved. So it was a very surreal moment, and I was very glad that we were out letting the community know we're here, because in that moment, that person might not have made it had we not been a block away doing some outreach. So stigma is one of the biggest triggers, stigma around class, gender, education. I'm sure everybody on the call can relate to, stigmatizing language. And, so that's why we've got this slide up, so that we start to address that stigma and break that down. So I'm gonna just actually give you guys a moment to just, kind of read the screen and actually just take a quick sip of coffee myself. So language is one of the biggest ways people with substance use are stigmatized. So if everybody can make the conscious effort to avoid the words on the left side of the screen and try to use the phrases on the right side of the screen, that would be very much appreciated as somebody in recovery. So the Union County Helping Hands Hotline, like Andrew had mentioned in the introduction, is staffed 24 hours a day. That telephone number of 1-855-825-3275 is answered no matter what time of day, no matter what day of the week, no matter if it's a holiday or a weekend. My team is here to help and to get the person connected to the assistance that they need. I'd like to point out that prior to COVID, when there was police involvement, the person on hotline duty would actually go to the Plainfield Police Department or the Clark Police Department, wherever, within 30 minutes of that initial call, so that the peer can meet with the person face to face and really start to work collaboratively. Because if we can show you a pathway to recovery, but we are not going to drag you kicking and screaming, down one pathway. We would rather walk with you side by side. And we know that we can start right there, right at the very beginning. As I mentioned earlier, our office is in Roselle, and so during the week, kind of during business hours, if you live in the eastern part of Union County, or you happen to be in the area, you can always call the hotline. And if you're not comfortable talking over the phone, we can have you come to the office and you can meet with us face to face, so that we can start to collaborate on the best plan of action for the individual. Like it says at the bottom of the slide, the peer recovery specialist will continue to follow up with a person for about 6 months to make sure that they are maintaining their own recovery, that they are aware of whatever resources are available, and really just help them start to live the life that they choose to live. Everybody on this call, whether you're listening live or you're on the recording, you are a bridge between people in the community with the substance use disorder and getting them connected to the recovery supportive services. You may know somebody that you work with. There may be somebody in your family. It may be your neighbor. It may be, anybody that you see, passing on the street. We're here. We're here to help. We're not here to judge. We're here to, like I keep coming back to it, make the world a better place, a single person at a time. So I do have a couple of really great success stories. So one of our participants had a long history, that started with prescription pain medication, and when he couldn't get on that, he wound up, illegal opiate use. He had been in and out of treatment for years, but had been unable to maintain abstinence. And he actually was arrested in May of this year during an Operation Helping Hand. And so he was arrested. He was brought to the Union County Police Department in Westfield and was connected with a peer, and you guys see the quote right there in the middle of it. The peer has been reaching out to him weekly, and it's been a big, support tool for him. His life is back on track, and and at this point, he's actually attending support meetings, but he said he doesn't need to be meeting, or talking with his specialist on a weekly basis, but they do still check in with each other a little less frequently. But that was May, and here we are in December, about 6 months later. So another one of the participants that was arrested in May, his life was a mess, and he didn't want help with treatment or recovery. The team continued to reach out, for more than 6 months. The participant never answered the phone, ignored all of the messages. But when he was finally ready, he was relieved that the team never gave up, on him. So that was actually a participant from the 2020 calendar year. But you guys see it right there. After 8 months, when the participant was ready, we got them connected to the help that they need. So with that, if anybody has any questions, I know Andrew has a flyer that he's going to pass around to everybody. My email and my work cell phone are on there, but also I'll pull the slide right back to the hotline slide. It's right there, 1-855-825-3275. My team will be more than happy to answer any questions that you guys might have. And I thank you very much for taking the time out of your busy day in the start of the holiday season to, educate yourself. So again, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Philip. This is like a super valuable resource, and I particularly kind of got a lot out of hearing how it was, it's a peer resource that people are talking, to people who have had their lived experience. I'm sure that makes a great deal of difference. Also, I got a lot from hearing about how, the resources are not just one pathway, but it's very much about trying to find the right pathway for people themselves. That seems immensely valuable and really great. What I will do now is, as Philip said, I will just, I'm going to bring up the flyers that we mentioned. So this is the flyer in English, and you can see it has the hotline itself just along the side there. together with the other contact details. We at the library also can, this is my personal email address here. If you want to reach out to the library to have us explore things and find out information for you to contact things, we're here as well. This link here at the top, the tiny URL one there, that is a link to that flyer PDF so that you can look at it in more detail if that's something you would like to do. I will also include the basic details and the links to the flyers in the description for the video when we publish that too. Let's put that flyer up also in Spanish. And again, there's the flyer and the link to the flyer and me as well. So we can always try to put people in touch with the information if it's useful for them. With that, yeah, thank you for joining us today. Thank you very, very much to Philip for speaking for us and for providing that really, really helpful material. I hope to get this onto the library's YouTube channel very soon. And if you're joining us in the future, thank you for watching to the end. And as I say, I'll include the relevant sort of thumbnail information in the description for the video itself. Thanks very much for joining us today, and we're going to sign off for now. Thank you.